This is the second of our projects. In 18 months' time, 140 young people will be housed on this site in Deptford, South London. There will be 8 10-person houses and 42 flats. Some of the flats will be suitable for one-parent families who have great difficulty finding furnished homes in this area. One of the things we could not afford to build for the Sanford Co-operative was a community centre. The community centre will be over there, near the flats, and will form the focal point for the whole cooperative.
Our third development is on a rubbish dump. The Borough of Newham invited us to provide housing for 500 people, despite the isolation of the site, because of the tremendous need for housing for young people in East London. Construction will start early next year, and the scheme will cost £5.5 million. But one development for 500 people is too large for a single cooperative, too large for people to relate to. So we have grouped the houses around 10 separate courtyards, each slightly different. There are shared houses for 4, 6 or 10 people, with the farmhouse kitchens facing onto the courtyard, and there are flats for couples. The groups lease collectively the land, pay the mortgage, and manage the centre, which has a bar, a laundrette, and a shop. Otherwise, the groups of 50 people will be independent to select new members, collect the rent, plant their courtyards, and so enabling a community feeling to grow through the collective management of the cooperative.
But the cooperative solution is not confined to communal houses, or to the young and mobile, or to new buildings, or to SED. There's an increasing number of groups who are working out the cooperative solution for themselves.
In 1972, we started a tenants association because the 112 flats which were owned by a property company in West Hampstead were the subject of great worry to us all. They're a mixture of flats. Some of them are large mansion flats and some are in the houses, most of them sort of around 1890. And they'd all been very, very badly neglected. No money had been spent on them for a long time, and property companies began buying them over our heads. And there was a great sense of panic spreading amongst the tenants when they realized that people were popping up unexpectedly, taking photographs of their property and saying, isn't this home rather too big for you, and would you like a little bit of money to move on? So we began a very, very fierce struggle to get repairs done and get the whole place looked after a little better. And that introduced neighbours to neighbours, and people began to struggle together in a way which I think welded them together. We have very little in common with each other at all, except that we lived nearby and we're all different. We're not a special group. And the interesting thing is that we have found so much in common that we are now, I think, a very, very strong community. Well, the marvellous thing that happened once we found out about the legislation for tenants' cooperatives, we had the great good luck to be the first people hammering at the Department of Environment's door and saying, please let us in, because this is what we want. So when Camden Council realised they would not be able to buy us as a straight municipal purchase, we were already in the town hall saying, all you need to do is to give us a mortgage, and if you can do that, and we'll repay the mortgage. And they went with us to the Department of Environment, and we got sanction from the Minister. In rented properties, we've already had requests from 2 houses that the cooperative should purchase the houses and they should become members. As far as the owner-occupiers in the road are concerned, I think they feel very benevolent because we shall improve the property. Now we're in the very middle of setting up something which, to us, is extremely exciting, thrilling in all possible ways. And as one of our tenants said after one of her local group meetings, just think, 3 years ago we were all just housewives, which probably sums it up better than anything else.
Granby Co-op has been in existence, registered, I think, well, formed basically sometime in 1970. But the main bulk of its stock came into existence in July of 1972. The house that I live in personally was a batch of 32, where the owner died, and the co-op approached, could they buy them, and had an agreement with the Liverpool Corporation, who said they would give out the mortgages. So Liverpool Corporation gave the mortgages and the cooperative bought that premises that we live in. We joined the cooperative mainly because we wanted to have some control in the management, the managing of our housing. NHS's Neighbourhood Housing Services, which is an agency that the primary co-ops had set up, and they service all our requirements. I myself had a bedroom converted into a bathroom, but I did have a new kitchen extension built.
We decided straight away to become members because we could see the advantages of being tenants with a say in how our property should be done, improved, repaired, etc., etc. The order in which the improvements would be done was decided at a meeting of the members. When it became my turn to have improvements done, the architect submitted to me plans for the improvements. Some features of the plans were not to our liking, but together these were soon sorted out and we got exactly what we wanted. As I see it, the main advantage of being a member of the cooperative is that you have quite a lot of say in how your house is managed. For instance, if you don't like the way things are being run, you're at liberty to go to a meeting and make your views known. This you couldn't do when you were a tenant of a private landlord.
It was in the hands of the estate agents. Absolute rubbish. Couldn't get nothing done. All he wanted was his rent, but he never wanted to do any repairs. The house was falling to bits. My house is modernised to my satisfaction. I am delighted with it. I've got the through lounge. It was a happy day for the tenants when the cooperative took us over, definitely.
Those cooperative trees that make all the difference. Meanwhile, back in London, SCD, the Society for Cooperative Dwellings, registered as both a housing association and as a charity. It's governed by a board of directors, part of whom are elected by affiliated housing cooperatives, and the rest elected by its individual members. It's run by a staff of 8 and serves affiliated housing cooperatives in 3 main ways: by promoting and developing new housing cooperative schemes, by providing management services and organising tenant self-management for existing housing co-ops, and by acting as a resource centre for information exchange and cooperative education in housing. As part of this educational service, we are about to publish a new book, simply called Housing Cooperatives. It sets out to explain just what housing cooperatives are, how they can work, and, importantly, how they can fail. It's meant to serve as a guide to those setting up their own housing cooperatives. But no guide can guarantee success. This is simply because, by its very nature, a housing cooperative is a local enterprise, needing local people, hard work, and a lot of commitment. If you simply want accommodation now, please don't write to us. We just haven't got it. But if you think that we may be able to assist you set up your own housing cooperative, or you'd like a copy of the book, then do write to us at Society for Cooperative Dwellings, 381 Kennington Lane, London, SE11 5QY. We'd be most grateful for a stamped addressed envelope. I'll say that address again. Society for Cooperative Dwellings, 381 Kennington Lane, London, SE11 5QY.
But I hope that you've seen enough to convince you that this is a viable idea.